All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Green Room. This is a place and a space where we are sharing just career insights and journeys, putting young brothers and sisters up on game, and hopefully removing roadblocks and making it so that you don't bump your head or scrape your knee as much as we've done in our past. So really delighted to have a brother. I call you like a little big brother because he's younger than me, but definitely a lot taller than me. But I'm gonna hand it over to my man Brice Butler to introduce himself, say hi to the people. Tell us where you are, tell us who you are, what you're up to, and then we'll get into some fun Q&A.
What up, Team Green Room? Brandon, appreciate you having me on. Okay, my name is Brice Butler, 31 years of age, from Atlanta, Georgia. Currently live home is, Big A. Now I live in the little A of Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. College graduate, Southern Cal University. Started my master's program at San Diego State University to finish my football career in college. So I didn't finish it, but I started it. Played in the NFL for 7 seasons, started with the Oakland Raiders, traded to Dallas Cowboys, ended with the Miami Dolphins. Now, my last season was 2019. Now I am you could say content creator, media persona, whatever you guys call it. You can call me influencer, whatever you want. I don't really like that word because I feel like people influence themselves. But so now I'm in the media space. I'm a co-host of a TV show called No Media with Ryan Hollins and AJ Andrews on Players TV, which is streaming on Samsung streaming network or platform. And then I have a YouTube channel and where I do a lot of, golf vlogging and, making golf as cool as possible. So that's me in a nutshell, a minute long bio of your boy.
Your boy, International Duffel. We appreciate you having us and making the space to have the conversation. There's, a bunch of folks who come from non-traditional backgrounds that'll look at this. And I think it's important for them to see folks outside of the mainstream who are successful, who have had a dream, who've gone after it. And hopefully like the dialogue and the QA that we have will be useful to some of the folks out there. But maybe to start with, the last 1 year, the last 2 years have been really interesting. So just like a self-care check-in, how are you? How's the fam? Like, what's the deal? Like, are you guys doing okay?
Yeah. So, the last 2 years, if you date it back to 2019, have been interesting for me. And for the simple reason of the fact that, my whole life I played football. Started dating back, I think, second grade. I think I was 6 or 7 years old. And playing football all the way up until I was 29. And being faced with the challenge of not knowing if I was going to play football anymore or if I would get another opportunity to play the game, the childhood game that I loved, my whole life. So when I got let go out of training camp in 2019 by the Dolphins, the way I was looking at it was, I'm 29. I've had a good career. The last year from that point, I had been cut 3 times. So my first 5 years, never been cut. Everything was fine, playing, what have you, whatnot. Then 2018 comes, I leave Dallas, which in my opinion, was a mistake. I left Dallas and then kind of steamrolled out of Dallas too. So I steamrolled out of Dallas, kind of talking a lot of crap, whatever, like, just being a little emotional about the scenario that I had there. Then I come here to Arizona to play for the Cardinals. As soon as I got here, I hurt my foot. I had a lingering foot injury that started in Dallas that I thought would just heal through, with rest. Didn't happen. Get to Arizona the first day, Brandon, hurt my foot. I ruptured my plantar fascia. That's a very painful ordeal. especially when you're trying to play football at the receiver position. Really tough. So missed a lot of time there. Ended up having a good camp. I got healthy enough to get through a good camp. They were just like, we don't want to deal with you. We don't know how healthy you're going to be. Whatever. You're 29. Your foot is bothering you. Whatever. So they cut me. And then this was the first time I ever been cut in my life from anything. So I've always excelled in sport, basketball, football, track, whatever. Like I never had an issue being on a team. I might not have always been the guy, but I never had an issue being good enough to be on the team, right? So right then and there, 2018, I had been faced with an obstacle or roadblock that I never had to deal with, which was being told you were not good enough to be on the team. And, I would say that like wrecked me mentally. You know me well, like I'm a very confident dude. Like I don't need anybody to, especially in the field of sport, I didn't need anybody to tell me I could do it. Like I knew I could. My dad helped me a lot, but I didn't need my dad to tell me like, hey son, like you can win, you can do this. I didn't need that. Like I knew I could, I didn't need my buddies. I didn't need a coach. I didn't need none of that. Like I knew the work that I put in was what I needed to get through. So I always trusted myself, especially throughout the process. And then when I got cut, even though it really had nothing to do with how I was playing, like I kind of like started second guessing myself, like, was I not good enough to be on this team? Like, did these guys not like, how did I not make this team? Like this team is not better than like the team I just came from. And I never had an issue making this team, like that team. So how did I not make this team? So, I started thinking about myself rather than looking at the business of the NFL, which, there's a lot of numbers and algorithms and how they keep players and stuff on the team. But I never had to deal with that. So I'm thinking of it just from like a talent level.
Yep. And
I would say, man, like, even though like I had a messed up foot, like mentally, it messed me up.
Yep.
Going from, feeling like, I wouldn't have an issue making this team to nah, I didn't make the team. Am I ever going to play football again? Was that preseason game versus Denver Broncos like my last ever football game? Like you're dealing with all that. I remember the first game, that first Sunday of that season, I'm in the grocery store, like getting groceries. And everybody's like walking around with jerseys on and stuff like that. And I almost like cried in the middle of the grocery store, dog, because I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, I'm supposed to be suited up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm supposed to be suited up. Like, why? What the heck? I got like Tostitos chips in my freaking cart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got eggs and milk, 2%. Like, and I'm supposed to be in a game. Like, so it was just a lot of emotion, a lot of buildup. Now, obviously, I got called right back to Dallas, ended up going there. But like I said, like I wasn't really healthy. So it was some new coaches that kind of were like, like we know this guy, but he's not really doing what we thought he would do. So I ended up getting let go there. So now I'm bouncing around. So now I got the story of like, you can't stay on the team almost. End up in Miami, have a good 6 games. Fast forward, head coach got fired, new head coach comes in, love this new head coach, but they had a lot of young guys that they wanted to keep. So I got cut 2019 at the training camp. And then I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll get picked back up in at least a month, at least. Last year I got cut. I had workouts every day almost, for teams. But man, after I got let go from the Dolphins, I had one workout, and it was with the Oakland Raiders, maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks after I got let go. So it was like the end of September, like week 3. Killed the workout, thought I was going to get signed back to my team. I remember telling y'all, like, man, like I'm back in Oakland. Like, there's no way I'm not finna make this team. Like, I'm going to be straight. Like, we back, to the con, we back. But didn't make the team. And so that was my last workout. Obviously, when, hindsight, that was your last workout. But when that happens, you're like, like I didn't make that team, but I'll get like a couple more workouts. I'll be on the team for the end of the season. I wasn't on the team. So, 19's over. And now I'm like, am I going to play football again? Like, what the heck?
I want to hit right there because people who are like laid off in the pandemic or folks that kind of I feel like they were probably second guessing themselves a whole lot as well. And similar, same-ish situation like you. Um, what like advice, had your parents given you, your teammates, your community, or how did you navigate through a situation like that where there's a bunch of like self-doubt on the one hand, but then on the other hand, how much like work you've put into it in order to figure out, okay, what's the future gonna look like?
You know what? That's a very interesting question, B, especially when you're talking about sport. Because it's not, I'm not going to say a normal job. No jobs are normal, obviously, but everybody, when it comes to being an athlete, they have a timetable. Like you can't play the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's shelf life, right?
Like it's a shelf. Like you have a small period of time, and they always tell you, like even guys that play 15 years in the league, they're like, look, you have a short window. Like, you're going to enter the league as a young man. You're going to actually leave the league. Even if you play 15 years, you're like 35, 36, you're still going to leave a young man.
Yeah.
You're going to still leave a young man in the life. If you think about the timeline of life, like 35 and say you live to be 75, like you have 40 more years of life you got to live. Right now in the game, they'll call you old as you leaving. Like they were calling me old and I was 29. I'm like, bro, what? I'm not even 30. Like what the heck?
Face? What you
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but so it's interesting because when you think about athletics, nobody wants to leave when it's time for them to be done, pretty much. So even my dad played 12 years, and like once I kind of started thinking like, yo, like I might be done. Like my pops was like, nah, like you still working out, you still training, like you still got to stay ready, blah, 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 blah. And like, he's just encouraging me. Like if I was doubting myself, if I could play anymore, which I wasn't, he was just like, you need to be ready. And like once 19 kind of ended, I was like, man, shoot, if you look at the list of the free agent receivers that were on the table in 19 alone, like it would just show you that they were kind of like, the league was trying to like just hit a refresh button on talent, because there were a lot of guys that year. I remember it was just weird. It was just like, dang, like he's not playing. Like he just balled last year. Like he's not playing. Like it was a lot of that. Like when you looked at the list. And so it was one of those weird moments where it was like, dang, like they might be forcing some guys out. Like some of these teams might be like, nah, like we just go with young guys. We don't want to pay these guys X amount of dollars. So really, I got really good advice from a buddy who was a skateboarder, professional skateboarder named Mikey Taylor. Shout out to my guy, Mikey Taylor. And he was just talking to me about, like kind of like we talked about yesterday, like self-awareness and like your what's the word I'm looking for? Why can't I think of this word? It's a very simple word. Purpose. Your purpose in life. And I never thought my identity was in football because I was so good at doing other things. Right. So I used to always be like, man, I don't need football. I don't really need football. Like, football, like I'll be fine. But then when it gets swept up under your feet, because when you think that way, you think of it as I can leave it when I want to leave it. Not like, you can snatch it from me right now unexpectedly and I'm going to be happy with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like a difference. So he was just telling me, man, like, because when he was a pro skater for like 15, 20 years, really one of the top guys. And he was saying like he got hurt and like all his sponsorships basically got stripped from him. And he was saying like, yo, for like 6 months to a year, like I was really struggling trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And he was like, it's fine if you have to deal with that struggle, but you don't want to stay in it. Yeah. Because everybody's going to have some sense of sadness, when you leave something that you've been doing for a while. Like obviously we just talked about the pandemic, right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people I know somebody like a next door neighbor worked at this job for like 25, 30 years and they laid her off. And she was just kind of like, what the heck? Like, what the heck? And in my mind, like, I'm thinking like, you're like 60, like you've been there for forever. Like, why are you upset? But like, yo, like you've been there for a lifetime. Like some people don't even live that long. Yeah, that's a piece of you. And like, they just snatched it from you. Like you don't work anymore because of a because of a virus, you know what I'm saying? And like, you're like, what the heck? Like, I've been here for this long. Like, you're going to do me like that? Like, and that's the same way you feel in football. Like, I've been playing 20 some years. I've been putting blood, sweat, and tears into this. And like, y'all just going to like tell me like, I can't play anymore.
Yeah.
Because like I had one interesting season where I hurt my foot and kind of bounced around a little bit. So now you're saying like, I don't got it no more. I lost a step. So he really helped me because it went from me kind of like just being sad about not playing and training to where like I started going like, okay, let me deal with this. Let me look myself in the mirror. Let me figure out, am I going to be okay with not playing football anymore? And if I'm not playing football anymore, what am I going to do next? There has to be a next. Like, I can't stay in this chapter. There has to be a next. And then am I going to stay? If I'm going to stay trained up, prayed up, just in case I do get a call to go back and play. Because there was always that thought. But shout out to COVID, because it actually helped me make my decision, honestly.
Shout out to COVID.
Yeah, shout out to COVID. Because in 2020, once COVID hit in March, I had to talk with my agent, and he was telling me how the things were going to change for like workouts and trials, like all the different like logistics that hoops they have to go through just to get a workout in. And I was just like, you know what, man, I don't think I want to do that. Like, I'm okay. Like, I didn't play in 19. I've been training physically, but I haven't really been on the field with cleats on, catching balls from quarterbacks and going against DBs one-on-ones. So I would need a lot of time to just get back comfortable there before I even can get to that situation of doing that type of stuff. And I was like, man, I just don't want to do that anymore. Like, my body feels fine. Like, my foot feels good at this point. I was like, I don't want to do that. So once I kind of got the grasp of like, I'm done, and I finally let go of it. Like, when I finally let go of it, that's when I was like, next chapter. But it took a while.
So this is a good inflection point. So we're making the transition from sport and being an athlete over to that next thing. We're talking a lot about planning. And a lot of folks who are going to watch this are, again, like I said, from non-traditional backgrounds, maybe consider pivoting. Talk to us about kind of the master plan, like what you're doing in the moment, how you're looking at like super long-term, 3, 4, 5, 6 years out into the future, and just your process and like the community that's helping you do this.
Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, presently, I always saw myself in the media some type of way. If it was like an analyst on TV, like a reporter, or you could say personality for like a TV show or whatever. Like, I've always thought I could do that. I've always hopped to, I always hopped to the opportunities of, if we had news teams coming in to talk, I was always like, I'll talk to y'all if y'all want to talk. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, if people were to call me to come to the studio, or if they had like a video concept idea in the locker room, they're like, hey, like, would you do this? I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, when I played in Dallas, or even in Oakland, I had my own little TV show in Oakland. Then when I went to Dallas, I had a TV show too, in which we talked every Tuesday about the game that we had, and we would bring in a different player from the team. We had an old player, Brady James. We had I can't think of his name, but funny comedian from Houston who was like our narrator. And then we would have a staff member from the Cowboys, and we would have a player on the team talk every week, and we would just talk about the game. So things like that, like, I always kind of was preparing myself to do that. I always looked and tried to exhaust my relationships with people that worked at like NFL Network and ESPN, so I could like get on the show and talk stuff like that. So kind of was preparing for this moment without preparing for it, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then now, like, once I like let go of the game, I was like, it's go time. I can run at this. And I wanted to figure out which angle I was going to do. Right. So right now, like I said, like, I have that sports TV talk show with Ryan Hollins and AJ Andrews on No Media. So that's I'm an athlete. I'm a football player. Let's talk sports. I love to do that. We talk about it all the time. We were just talking about the freaking lucky shot that LeBron James did against the Warriors. And then and then I love golf, and we have that same golf passion. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna just buy a camera, right? Because I did it during COVID, so like nobody was having people on any shows because everybody was just like locked in the house. So luckily in Arizona, we could still go play golf. So I was like, you know what, man, like I can show people who I am and how I get things done by just bringing a camera where I go,
Yeah.
and I'm on the golf course like all the time with my son or my wife and well, at that time, obviously Liana wasn't born, but my wife and my son were on the golf course a lot. So I was like, I'll just buy a camera and show people what I do, and so looking forward, I have obviously a plan to scale that, but I like to stay in the present. Like obviously down the line, like hopefully before I turn 40, like I have a plan to, have my own TV show, or be on ESPN, be on NFL Network, be on the Golf Channel, or have my own show that's running on one of these channels that's mine, that I'm the executive producer of. Because I've realized that like I have a creativity level that I didn't know I had, especially when it comes to like making videos or executive producing. Didn't even know that's what I did. I think DeVaris was the one who kind of eye opened me. He was like, yo, like you're the executive producer of this. Like this is what you do. And I'm like, really? Like I didn't even think about
Double
that.
click into that real quick, just because I'm not gonna assume that people know like about the media and entertainment industry, like to executive produce or to direct or to own, your own intellectual property. Like, what are some of those terms? What's important about what you're talking about now?
Okay, so one, a lot of people are their own executive producers and they don't even know. And this is what I mean. If you guys have a social media platform and you guys like to make videos and you cut up, edit videos, funny videos or family videos, holiday videos or whatnot, like that in a nutshell, simple, dumbed down term, that's what executive producer means, right? Like you did it all. Like you produced that, you thought of it, you did it. And think I didn't think of it that way. I'm just like, I'm not no executive producer. Like I don't got no background in this or whatever, but I had been doing things, like I said earlier, coming up with TV show ideas and doing all this stuff for a while, but I never looked at myself as executive producer. I'm just like, oh, I'm just Brice Butler. I play receiver. Like I have an idea to do this. Like, let's just do it. It's cool. And then, IP is something that I'm still learning, and shout out to y'all for like teaching me about it. Intellectual property is basically like protecting what you got, protecting your ideas. And this is in my street wisdom, my hood Solomon wisdom of the word. And you obviously I could be like a little bit off, but for instance, if I have a TV show that I have an idea about and I like go pitch it to, say CBS, when they kind of construct the deal, they're going to construct it in a way that they can own part or majority of my intellectual property. So at the end of the day, they're going to reap more of the benefits from my idea on their platform. So the way they look at it is like, okay, you got this dope idea that we never even thought about. We'll take it on. We'll give you X amount of dollars. We'll give you this production. We'll give you all the production crew that you need, equipment, whatever. We'll help you shoot it. But, if we do this, we put money into you, we're going to take a percentage of your intellectual property. Most of the times, they're going to want more of the property than you got so they can basically own your show. And then eventually, you're not going to have any more creative say in the show. Like, they're just going to take it from you. I didn't know none of that. Honestly, I really didn't know much of that until earlier this year in 2021, when we all got on the phone and I was like, yo, like I got this sick idea. I'm about to take it to this group of people. They want to give me X amount or whatever. And then y'all were like, whoa,
Beep, beep,
why would you
beep.
do that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is sick. Like y'all are like, no, don't do that. Like, do not give away your IP. Like, don't give away your intellectual property. And I mean, I'm really appreciative of that, because now it's like when I go forward in my business endeavors, it's like I got to know my value, my worth, and what I have and how it can change, I would say, the ecosystem of the space that I'm in. And I have to protect that. I don't want to give that away to people just because they're a big name or a big entity or business. They don't have that same thing that I have. So keep my creative intellectual property. So that's how I feel about it when I think about those words. And like I said, I know I don't have the I guess the prompt exact definition, but the hood version, that's the hood version.
No, it's hood, but it's good. I need to trademark that. But
Yeah,
I think
that
the
was
thing
dope.
that we wanted to talk about, like in that particular story, sometimes it's assumed that just because you're coming to the table, that you need what the other side is going to give you. So I know, like in the music industry, for example, you know, you could be popping in your city or whatever, and a record label might come and be like, yo, we could put you on, like, we'll get you distribution, we'll get you into all these different places. And then you see a guy like, you know, Toby Nwigwe, for example, just doing it by himself. And he's already done more than a lot of
Popping.
folks that are signed right now. So you're like,
Yeah.
wait, if I could learn the business side of this, like you were saying, like I was just a player at a time and I didn't get like the analytics and all the like algorithms that they're running.
Right.
But in my experience, it's been pretty dope to be able to see a business from end to end, whether it's sports, whether it's tech, you know, wherever it's at, you get to like um, opt into whether what CBS is going to give you is like something that you want from them. Maybe there's stuff outside of the resources that they can offer you, and it's
Right.
not about the money, or it's not about the crew and the people to follow you around. Maybe it's the relationships and like the future of that that's the
Right.
most valuable to you. Or maybe it is the case that you just need funds right now, like you got this big grandiose idea, or maybe you're racing to market and like other of your competitors might get there before you, so I got to take
Right.
this money in exchange for that first mover's advantage. So
Right.
it's been yeah, it's been dope to be on the tech side of things, observing sports, observing kind of other industries over, you know, 10 or 15 years. But yeah, I hope everybody who's watching this will grab a nugget or two out of this and think twice before, you know, you give your intellectual property away just because you've seen it done, you know, by your favorite rapper or by an
Right.
entertainer that you see on TV. Just because you see him smiling on a major station doesn't mean that they got the best deal.
Right.
For
That's
that,
facts.
you know.
That's
Um,
facts.
so you mentioned a mutual idea or a mutual love that we both got, and I want people to know this side of you. So talk to us about the game of golf. You mentioned that you're out there a lot. How'd you get into it? What fascinates you about it? You know, how's it different from a sport perspective than any other stuff you might have dabbled in or played in? Just give the people a little bit there.
Okay, so golf, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't tried it, is probably the most addicting sport that you can ever get involved in. I grew up playing basketball. I grew up playing, obviously, football. I grew up playing soccer. I grew up racing cats in the streets and on the rubber thing that we call a track. Um, and none of those things are as addicting as the game of golf. And if you haven't tried it before, don't knock it. Don't turn your nose up to me until you go out there and try to hit a golf ball or go to, I mean, in the Bay, you know, I don't think they have a Top Golf up there yet, but if you go to,
Got one. Just
yeah, I
got one.
did?
Yes.
Where?
It's right up the street from San Jose, so a little bit north of
Oh,
San.
perfect. So close to y'all. Yeah, close to y'all. Dope. Perfect. Okay. So, I mean, if you go to Top Golf, man, and you know, you're trying your hardest to get the ball into one of the nets, and you realize, you know, you dispensed your first ball, and now you dispense like your 20th ball, and you're like angry because you can't figure out how you can't get this small little ball that's stationary with this interesting stick with the blade at the end of it. Why can I just swing this and hit it there? Oh, I used to play baseball. It wasn't that much of a difficult swing. I could hit the ball, but I can't hit this ball. It's shanking, it's hooking. You know, you can't, you're hitting on the hosel, you're doing whatever. And then you get that one shot. You hit that thing in the middle of the club face. It goes exactly where you thought it was gonna go. It hits the net, or it hits the green, and you're like really happy and relieved. That's that is the thing, that the essence of golf, that people, if you haven't played it, you won't understand until you try it. It's that thing that like you'll hate it, and then you can hit one good shot and it'll make you come back tomorrow to try to get that shot again. Um, I started playing golf at an early age. My dad used to take us out. Like I have three brothers, so it's four of us, my mom and my dad. So I was the only brother that played football. So my pops played football. I kind of followed in his footsteps. And I was kind of like, whatever my dad wanted to do, that's what I was down for. You know, like my dad played football. I wanted to do that. So I stuck to his hip on that. Then like if you wanted to do this, like I always caught an interest in it. So he would take us all golfing. Me and my older brother Brenton and my younger brothers, they all hated it. They were basketball players, a little bit faster paced sport. I enjoyed it because I play football, so I'm outside, I'm on grass. You know, the things of nature is like things that I'm used to, you know, being on the grass, seeing the dew on the ground, you know, dirty areas here, you got to jump over this puddle there, you know, that's what I'm used to playing football. So golfing for me was like fun as a young kid. I didn't really know what I was doing, but like trying to hit that ball was cool. You know what I'm saying? I liked it. My dad did it. I liked it. So fast forwarded to 2016. I'm in Dallas now, and my quarterback at the time, Tony Romo, had a new set of irons sitting at his locker. And, you know, just being intrigued, being a guy that knew about golf that hadn't played in a while, because I didn't play in college. I didn't play my first few years in the league because I tore both my shoulders up. So I had to get those fixed. So I'm in Dallas now. Tony has a new set. And I remember like, you know, walking up to him, like, you know, grabbing one of his clubs and like talking to him like, man, I ain't played golf in a minute. Like I need to get back into it. And you know, I didn't know Tony, like how serious of a player he was. I didn't know none of that. So I barely even knew him at the time, really. You know what I'm saying? So I was new to the team. So I remember talking to him about the game, and I'm like, bro, like, are you good? Like, and Tony, if you know anything about Tony Romo, like he's been in PGA Tour events with exemptions, like he can play, So I'm asking him questions like he might be a novice, and he's like looking at me like, bro, what? Like, who you know who he's talking to? Yeah, like, you know who you talking to? And like Tony's a funny guy, but he's very sarcastic and interesting. So I think as I'm asking these questions, he was kind of feeling like, I don't want to say offended, but offended at the fact that I like, didn't know how good he was in golf. And so I hit him with the question of like, man, like I need to get some clubs and we should go play sometime. You know what I'm saying? And he like looked at me like, he was like, nah. He was like, until you become a single digit handicap, like I'd never play with you. And like, I didn't know what that meant. I just took it as a challenge because I'm like, what? Like, you won't go play golf with me, bro? Like, but you gonna throw me these balls in practice and again, like, but you gonna do me like that? I was like, all right, I'm gonna get right. So as soon as that happened, like I went on my Nike at the time, I was a Nike athlete. So I went on my Nike account, ordered me some clubs. I was like, I'm gonna show this dude, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? He talking trash, not knowing that, like, you know, not realizing how hard the game was as an adult. So now, like, I get back into that, like, I have no clue what I'm doing. You know, I'm getting lessons. You know, I used to DJ. So, you know, I'm one of those guys, if I catch on to something that I really like, I'm really going to dive into that community, into that culture, so I can know enough about it to be like, this is what I like to do. Or I can be like, you know what, I like it, but like, I can't do it in that sense. You know what I'm saying? I can't really dive into it. It's not really my lane. So I started getting lessons. I'm playing every day after OTAs. And now I'm at the point where like I'm doing it, I'm making a living doing it. You know, I'm a 6.5 handicap right now, B. So I'm trying to drop that thing. It's really hard to drop it once you get to that low, I almost like mid to low handicap, because now it comes down to just very nitpicky things like making the par putt from 10 feet because you didn't hit a good drive and you had to scramble to get there. Like you have to make that putt. You know, you can't hit balls OB off the tee box and expect to shoot 3 over par or 4 over par unless you're on birdie like the other 10 holes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, like I love the game of golf. And if any of you guys haven't played it, if if you dating somebody new and you want to see what the type of level of patience they got, take them to the golf course. You can find out so much about a person in 3 hours or 4 hours on a golf course. It's like the best way to network with people, get to know people. I met so many people, man, had so many business relationships start in my 5 years of playing golf, that, you know, I would never, you know, give away or turn back, you know, for anything. So golf is a great sport. Great way to learn a lot about yourself. My wife hates it. She doesn't want any part of it. She doesn't like not feeling like she's good at something.
Mhm.
And, most of us athletes, you don't want to ever look or feel embarrassed. So if you go out, like, like I said, I grew up playing baseball, soccer, all that. So like, you can throw me a basketball right now. I might not make the first shot, but being a guy that hasn't really hooped like for fun since like 2014, I can dribble the ball in between my legs. I can do a little move. I can lay the ball up. I can make a shot eventually. You know what I'm saying? But like, golf is not a sport that you can just kind of like not play and just pick it up and then just hit the ball straight. Like, it's just not a sport. It's a very abnormal body movement. You just can't do it. And the ball doesn't move. Like, you just can't. And so that's why I love it, man. I love golf. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's muscle memory to a point, and it's a game that you can play a lot longer. We talked about kind of the perfect window of
Yes.
hooping or playing football. I got introduced at a really early age. 13 years old is when I started caddying on a golf course. So this is the first job I had to carry, golf bags on my shoulder for 4.5 hours, 5 hours. And, a little scrawny kid from the south suburbs of Chicago. I didn't know anything about the game either, but to observe business people and consulting folks and finance and banker people, from politicians, they would come down to the private course that I was caddying at. And I saw so many business deals and handshakes. And I'm like, man, what do they do? Aren't they supposed to be at work? Because this is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon
Right.
on Wednesday or Thursday. So I got to see a sense of just another way and another culture that was not shown to me, because my parents were the kind that would, get on the train, go to work, come back at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So they lived like a very traditional type of life. And what I was seeing on the golf course is very non-traditional.
Yeah, for sure.
Spending weeks at the country club that lived in other states. I saw, these pros I would caddy for them. And they tell me how they had been around the world, Australia. I just went to Japan. I just went to all these places. And I'm like, man, I'm doing good if I could leave Illinois and go to Wisconsin.
Right.
So it was super cool to get to play on Mondays for free. You would find balls that golfers that hit out of bounds and lost and put them in your pocket. And I never paid for a golf ball until I was probably 22, 23 years old. And once I found out how much they actually cost, I was like, man, brother got to get a good job to afford to play this on a regular basis. But yeah, I'm with you. Plus one, if you're interested in something new, you'll meet people that you might not meet any other way except for on that golf course, and lots of different possibilities will open up to you. So yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing something new to folks that probably didn't think they was gonna hop on here and see a football and a tech guy talk about golf. But yeah, definitely check it out. I guess at this point, I'd love to do a little lightning round of sorts and just get people to know a little bit about you in terms of the other stuff outside of sports. So I'm gonna hit you with kind of my standard question, because I know many people in the pandemic have been eating good. What are your favorite couple of things right now to cook or to eat?
Oh, well, I mean, I probably make the best mac and cheese ever. Brandon, real quick, did you come over to our house out there in what's that area that I lived in before I moved from the Bay? Not Dublin, it's further out. It's not, dang, I can't even think of the name. Livermore. Did you come that day?
I went there one time. I don't think I was there for there's a photo, y'all, that I am not in.
Okay. So that time, I think most of the guys like Squint, Tavares, Jay, they came and they had my mac and cheese. So if you think I'm selling you wolf tickets, go ask them. So that's, I think, if I'm trying to like show people like, look, like I can cook, like this is what I'm doing, like we gonna have a couple people over, I can get it popping. I'll cook you like mac and cheese, and I'll bake a chicken or something, like a whole chicken, throw some barbecue sauce seasoning, some cayenne pepper on that thing, some paprika on the top.
Yeah.
I'll do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Some asparagus or broccoli or something like that. So I would say that, and my son loves mac and cheese. Like if you ask him right now, like, what's your favorite food? He's like mac and cheese. So that's my favorite thing, I would say, to cook and eat. I eat Chipotle almost every day though, because that's just quick. And for me, what I get, it's pretty healthy. I just get brown rice, chicken, tomatoes, and lettuce. I don't get nothing outside of that. So it's not like I'm eating anything bad. I'm not throwing a whole bunch of stuff in there. So yeah, that's the answer to that.
Okay. Let's move over to now that we're starting to like normalize and come out of COVID. I know playing sports, you've been kind of around the country and the world, but like what's the one place that you're looking to go to that you've maybe never been to, or maybe a place that you love going to and you just can't wait to get back there once things open up?
Well, to answer the latter question, I love going to France. I love going to Paris, man. I'm out there typically every year for the fashion shows. I love it there. It's just dope. I love there, and I love London. I would love to go to Cannes. I've never been to Cannes yet. South of France. The place that like, there's two places that I really want to go to that I haven't been. That is Croatia and Japan. I want to go to both of those places. I have a friend that's in Croatia right now, and like the pictures that she's posting and stuff like that, I'm like, dang, that place looks like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, that looks fake. Like you're in a green screen. Like that can't be real. So I want to do Croatia, and I definitely want to do Japan. I think I have a couple of Japanese friends. I have a lot of friends from South Korea too, but I have some Japanese friends, and their culture and stuff just seems so dope. And I just want to kind of experience it.
Yeah, I can vouch for Japan, but I got to get to Croatia just like you, man. Tony Kukoc back in the 90s was the first time I'd even heard of the country of Croatia when he came to the Chicago Bulls. But yeah, if you go to Japan, bro, it's Tokyo, like a big, clean New York. A bunch of crazy food and a bunch of crazy fashion there. And then you go south to Kyoto, the old school temples and the peaceful kind of mountainy vibe, totally different. But once it's opened back up, we're gonna get back out there too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Netflix and Flying Lotus for that made me want to go back to Japan even faster. For all the anime fans out there. What made you get into fashion? Just a sidebar on that Paris and London comment for the folks that are curious about how did Duffel get into fashion?
From a kid, man, I've always been into what I put on. It's funny. When you asked me that question, I thought about the times in the summer shopping with my mom and my brothers getting ready for school, and being at places like Value City and trying to barter your mom into buying you Fubu Platinum with Fat Albert on the back. You know what I'm saying? And she wouldn't do it because those jeans cost like $59 as opposed to the jeans that cost like $19. You know what I'm saying? And so like I've always just been into, what I wore, and also learned to accept me for what I wore too, not like wear the stuff that everybody else is into, like not be into the trends as much. And I learned that from like that same story I just gave you. Like I could want that because everybody's talking about that, but mom's like, nah, we're not buying those. Like those cost too much. So you gonna deal, you can get these. So you have to work with what you got. You know what I'm saying? And some of that still goes into today because, like there might be a jacket or a nice overcoat that I want to buy, but it costs a lot of money. And I can be like, man, I live in Arizona. I ain't finna be in New York wearing that jacket. Ain't no point to buy that jacket. Just leave it alone. You got a nice amount of jackets in your closet. Just rock the ones you got. Yeah, this one's nice and it's new and it's different, but you don't need it. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been that way. And then once I got into the pros and was like, okay, I can really kind of get some of the stuff that I want. That's when I just started like you know me, man. I'm a networking dude. That's just my personality. So, bro, it really just started. I think it was my second year in the league. We went up to New York and we stayed there for a week playing the Jets, week one. And I was just going into department stores and just meeting people and chopping it up with them, exchanging numbers. And then I bought a Pierre Moss shirt. And then that turned into me going on their webpage and hitting up the customer care department there a lot. And the girl's name was Angie at the time. And I was just bothering her about everything. And then eventually she put me on the designer of the clothes, who's a good friend of mine today, Kirby Jean Raymond. And I met him, and then he was like, bro, like, you should go to Fashion Week. Like, you have to look for it. Even if you don't like walk, like all these brands will love to have you sit on front row and like be involved. And, depending on how you are in the business sector of the fashion, like you can get capsule collection. Like he's telling me all this stuff. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know. Like, I'm just interested in clothes. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to him for, basically like opening me up to a world that I didn't really know about.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I know kind of like where I fit in that space. I love it. I'm not like the ASAP Rocky or the shout out to my boy Odell. Like I'm not the Odell that's gonna wear all of the, like Louis Vuitton not sending me free stuff to just wear. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm meticulously picking out clothes that I feel like will stand the test of time. When I buy something like a jacket, like I was telling you, say it costs a good amount of money, like say a jacket, $2,500, right? And I go, okay, can I see myself wearing this jacket? I'm 31. Can I see myself wearing this jacket when I'm 41? Okay. Do I see myself wearing the same jacket when I'm 51? If I can say yes to both of those questions and is that fire, I'll buy it. Because I'm like, okay, it's quality goods. And then I know it's going to last long because I'm going to wear it for a long time, as long as I can keep looking, I guess, the way I look now. You know what I'm saying? If I can stay in the gym and look the same way, I'll still wear it. And then down the line, when my son gets big enough, if he's not too big for it, boom, you got it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where I'm in the fashion space. And, with golf now, I've taken an interest into designing like my own, some polos and stuff like that, stuff that I can wear, like some hybrid type stuff that I can wear on the course and off the course. So I'm working on some of that stuff too.
Nice, man. I think you said a lot in terms of thinking long-term. I hope people are catching on to that. It's like, is this dude telling parables? Does he know something else about this jacket story? But
don't buy a shirt that costs $400 if you're gonna wear it 3-4 times, and when you wash it, it's gonna fade and you're not gonna want to wear it anymore. Like, don't do that. I don't give a flip if Virgil Abloh made the shirt of a lifetime. Unless you about to buy that shirt and frame it and keep it in your house, don't waste money on things that you're not going to use in the next season. Yeah. Count the cost in all life, but count the cost, especially when you're buying clothes. Like right now I'm wearing like some dry fit shirt that was like probably $15. And I don't care. Now, obviously I have things that cost more than that, but when you're thinking about clothes, like I said, if you want to buy a nice overcoat, a nice pair of boots, Chelsea boots or Oxford shoes that, that can last a long time. Okay. You might need to spend a little bit more money, especially if you're getting like a handmade Oxford shoe, something like that. Cool. But like a shirt that got like a cool saying on it, or like got a cool, like, everybody's cool with, like, they love those like graffiti shirts that hey, like Iron Maiden or like Metallica on it. Bro, if that shirt coming from like Balmain and it's like $350, don't buy it, because when you wash it, it ain't gonna look the same. Like, leave it alone. Go to like Urban Outfitters or something and buy a shirt that got Outkast Stankonia album on the front for $20. Like, do that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, just think about stuff before you buy stuff, especially like perishable things. Guns and butter, baby. Guns and butter.
I love that, man. Another thing that's worth calling out is like an industry kind of having a front door and like a business back door, like a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in the background that people may not pay a whole lot of attention to. So whether we're talking sports and it being a business of sports, or whether we're talking about golf and there being a whole business to the actual game, to the fashion of the game, like you're talking about, I want people to know that there's always more to know, and there's always a benefit to kind of wearing this hat of like, I'm an eternal student. I know I might have graduated, or I know I might be done with, my formal schooling. But I feel like the people that I'm looking up to, the people that I'm looking for as mentors, are the ones that they just showing me new stuff all the time. And they could be older than me, they could be younger than me. But it's cool to, if you've got a business kind of foundation or like an entrepreneur type of mind, you could turn any interest you have into an income source, a business for other people in your community potentially. And I love that, like the different stories that you're talking about have like that front end. Like initially I was just good at I was talented, but then on the backside of that, there's some work I could have done to make it even more full and to, make myself even more of an asset in that particular space.
Right. And the cool thing about that is that's why, like, you can't be so harsh on yourself about your goals either. Right. We think about stuff all the time, like, our hearts might desire something, but God might be desiring something different for us. Right. But then once you let go and let them, lead you in the right way, you realize that you probably had a bigger passion for that space. Right. So I was in a seminar maybe like 2 months ago now, that the NFL put on as like the broadcast boot camp. And one of the guys that spoke to us was the executive producer for Monday Night Football. And this dude was crazy. Like, he was explaining to us how when he came into the industry, he was like, I want to be the guy on the show. Like, I want to be the host. Like, I want to be on Sunday's broadcast talking about the game, right? Just like, Jim Nance, all these people, John Madden, all that. He was like, that's what I wanted to be. Yeah. He was like, once I got in that space, once I finally cracked the door, obviously he hit his hoops. He was like, once I cracked the door, he was like, I realized, he was like, I'm good at it, but like, I don't have the voice. Like, my voice doesn't work like John Madden's. My voice doesn't work like Jim Nance. My voice doesn't work like Mike Tirico. I don't have that voice.
Yep.
Like, it's just what it is. Like, I can't hate, I can't be upset. It's just what it is. So then he pivoted into creating the shows that these people were going to be on. And I can pretty much guarantee you he's making more money than he would have made as the guy in front of the camera, because it was more than just Monday night. Like, he was explaining all the shows that I was like, what? And it was just a crazy story of, I came in the game thinking I was going to do this, but then I learned everything. I learned the business. I learned the executive producing side. I learned, all these niches. And then now I'm creating the shows, and I'm still in the avenue that I love. I'm just not doing what I thought I was going to be doing.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing about life, man. Opportunities open up like as you go down the road. So like as a 31-year-old, you not be able to call it for yourself at 41 or at 51.
Right.
As long as you're putting one foot in front of the other one day at a time and kind of moving in the right direction and not making knucklehead decisions, I feel like you'll have not just the opportunity to advance yourself, but like coming from a Black and brown community where we're working hard across all industries to like level the playing field.
Right.
It might be just a thing for you to take back to your hood and put people on and, give them opportunity to economically, empower themselves and make it a little bit better than the previous generation. So yeah, I'm hoping, man, that the folks, who rock with us for this hour got a couple of laughs and stories, and maybe I'll end the lightning round that we started. We kind of took a little bit of
it wasn't lightning. It was like slow round.
Like thunder or something. I don't even know the metaphor.
I talk too much, so I'm too long-winded for lightning round.
No, man. How about the last thing that made you laugh out loud? It could be something that Braden or the family did or something out on the course. But I find that getting through these weeks is a lot better if you can be smiling and laughing. What's the story or two?
You know what? About my son, the funny thing about him, like, you have to really like be cognizant of what you say and what like is on the TV, what's coming out the speakers. Because like my son, like he can say every word pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Like he can speak. He has pretty decent vernacular for a 3-year-old kid. He can talk to you like Brandon, like you can come in the house and you can sit down and look at him in the eye and have a conversation with him, and he will talk to you and understand everything that you're saying. Maybe some words like he'll have a hard time getting out, and you might have to look at me to translate, like, what do you say? Like, and I'll tell you, but like most of it, like he's talking to you. And it's funny. Like, and he knows how to use certain phrases. So like, if my baby starts crying, I'd be like, I don't want to hear all that right now, right? Like, and I'm saying that to her, like, as like, come on, like, just don't cry right now, Or I could be like, sit your behind down, you know what I'm saying? Or don't do that, stuff like that. And then, I can go to him like later in the day and be like, maybe be nagging him. Like he might be trying to do something. I'm tapping on his shoulder. And he's like, hey, don't do that. Or like, stop talking. Like, stuff like that. Like he's trying to listen to like, his TV show, and me and Brianna are talking loud, and he'll be like, Mommy and Daddy, be quiet. Like I'm trying to listen, like stuff like that. And like, it catches you off guard because initially you want to kind of be mad at him. But then again, like you're laughing because you're like, dang, like how do you know how to use that properly? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, yeah, I mean, for me, I think I get most of my genuine laughter from just seeing him. And like, obviously my daughter right now is just in the like, she's just in that phase. So just seeing like, just the eat, sleep, wake up, poop, pee, cry, and go back to sleep. So, and then seeing my son and how he's managing being like not the only person in the house. And that's aggravating as a parent and funny at the same time, because you're just seeing how he's trying to deal with the fact that like, we're picking her up and looking at her and like kissing her on the cheek. And then we're looking at him, like, not like we're looking at him like you suck, but like we're looking at him like, bro, you know what to do. You can go to the bathroom and pee by yourself. Like you can do that. You know how to do it. Like, don't ask me to do it. Like, come on. And so, yeah, I think most of my laughter and stuff comes from the kids now, dog. Like, cause, and I know you've been here too. Like me and Bree, when you get older, you never really feel like you're getting older, right? Everything that you think about of a 30-year-old when you're like a young 20-year-old, you're like, man, they're old. But then like when you become the 30-year-old, you're like, bro, like I feel just like I did when I was 21, like, and I'm pretty sure it feels the same as you go up. Now, obviously, like some things might change, like you might physically might be limited in a range of motion or something if you like stop, like whatever. But you feel the same. You still feel sharp and all that type of stuff. So, like we laugh at ourselves now too, because we'd be like, dang, like we got 2 kids.
Yeah.
Like we adults. Like, and I'm like, man, like my parents were like this age when they had me, like when they had their second kid, like, and I don't feel old. Like I still feel young, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just funny, man, when you just start, thinking about just parenting, and I'll be like, okay, when he's 18, I'm gonna be like 47. Like, you know what I'm saying? You be thinking about like how's it gonna be? You know what I mean? Like, it's just funny thinking about stuff like that. So I would say, yeah, that's where I get, because I can't watch TV shows like I used to. With the work I'm doing now, like right when I hop off with you, I'm about to get back into that video editing, so I don't really have as much time to watch TV shows like I did. And even when my kids go to sleep at night, man, you be so tired, you know what I'm saying? Like, you be like, man, I just gotta go to sleep, dog. Cause I'll be darned if I stay up till 1 o'clock watching a TV show and then my son come in the room at 5:30 talking about something. I'm hungry.
Gosh,
You
yes.
know what I mean? So it's funny. Those things are funny too, because then you start thinking about like, dang, like 5 years ago, like if my buddy asked me to like go get a drink with him or something, like I will go hang out. But now I'll be like, no, because I'm not coming in the house late and not get my sleep before my kids wake up. You know what I mean? It's just funny, how things change, man. So yeah, that's where I get it from.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is called wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time like I'm hanging out, like, or if I'm like staying up is like when I go on these golf trips, like these content trips. And it's like, I know when I do go to sleep, I will get sound sleep.
Yes.
Like I know I can get it. So you know what? Like I'll take advantage of, hanging out with my buddies that I don't get to see or hanging out with. But yeah, when you at the crib, bro, nah, you just gotta go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great conversation, bro. I appreciate you again for making some time for the community. There's over 750 of us who are watching videos and doing the School of the Hard Knocks. So maybe we didn't go to Stanford or go to a fancy school, but democratizing these kind of stories and this kind of information, I think will save a lot of people in time, maybe in money, and we'll see some cool stuff coming out of this. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our community, I want to salute my big little brother, Brice Butler, AKA Duffel, international man of mystery. Thank you for sharing sports. Thank you for sharing golf. Thank you for sharing fashion and a little bit of family with us today, man. And I'll give it to you for the last word if you want to say anything to the people.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I hope it's something that I said, y'all can filter out the good stuff, spit out the bad stuff, and be able to, move forward in your progression in life. Just remember, I don't know how old the ranges of everybody is, but I'm pretty sure it's a younger crowd. Like the best type of advice that I could give a younger Brice would be listen to the people who did it before you. Mm-hmm. Listen to the people that did it before you. It sometimes it comes off as hate. Sometimes it comes off, or it feels the perception is hate. Mm-hmm. The perception could be they don't want me to have fun. The perception could be like, oh, you just mad because you couldn't do it, when you were here. And man, like what I know from my life and people that poured into me, like you might have some of those people that are hating, but then sometimes, like most of the time, it's not. Like most of the time, these people are really trying to tell you, I did this and it ended up in a bad situation, or, I spent that not having a business plan or a budget for my company, and we went bankrupt. We had to fold. I invested money into this company that I had no idea about, and I didn't do my research, my due diligence, and I lost out on all the savings I had. Like, when people give you advice, man, just listen to it and, sit down with it, maybe even write it down on a piece of paper and sit down with it for a little bit and come to the conclusions that, that you see fit. But don't always take it as negative when people are trying to, just steer you away from something that might be harmful to you.
Yeah. We will drop the mic right there, man.
Yeah.
I wish you a happy Friday. God bless you. God bless your fam. And hopefully we'll be able to go hit them or do something.
Oh yeah, we coming. We got to get to the base soon, dog. I think they're about to uplift those COVID restrictions in the state of California. So your boy got to get back up there and play some golf with y'all, man. So it'll be good.
Yes, sir. Well, have a great weekend, brother. We will see you soon, man.
Much love, man. God bless.
All right. Peace.
Peace.